Hello and welcome to the monthly Masked Marquee. I'm your host, Bart Levins, Director for the Hardin County Schools Performing Arts Center. As many of you are probably aware right now, Hardin County Schools is encouraging all people in their facilities to wear masks, whether they are vaccinated or not. We also understand that this is a matter of choice for several people, and so we respect anyone's decision not to wear a mask. Thank you for joining us. Our first guest today is our PAC Spotlight, Abby Lyles. Abby, how are you doing today?
Good.
You're looking wonderful. We were talking earlier, one of the last things that you did was play Mustard Seed in Hardin County Playhouse's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and you dressed for the part today.
Yes.
Yes. More recently, though, you're involved in their production of The Sisters Grimm.
Yes.
And what are you doing in the show?
I'm playing the part of Jo, which is the older sister. The older sister to Riley, which is the younger sister.
And these two Sisters Grimm, how did they differ from each other?
Jo is more of a tomboy who likes the Grimm's fairy tales because they're more creepy. And Riley really doesn't like them because she just cares about princesses and. Gotcha.
And so this is a modern take on the stories?
Yes. Her mom is working with COVID and her dad is deployed, so they're staying at their grandma's for about 2 weeks. And Jo's really upset about that. I mean, Riley's really upset about that. Jo is too, but she's trying to help Riley get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they get through it by sharing these Grimm fairy tales,
yes.
I guess?
Yeah. She tries to get her to go to sleep, and they keep going on with a bunch of stories. Yeah. What
are the stories that you guys share in this play?
There's Rapunzel, Snow White, The Fisherman's Wife, Little Red, and Bremen, and then Hansel and Gretel.
What was the last? What before Hansel and Gretel?
Bremen, which
What is Bremen? I don't know that one.
It's about like 4 animals who are wronged by their owners and wanting to start a new life.
The Bremen Town Musicians.
Yes.
Now I know that one. That's one of my favorite ones, actually. And The Fisherman's Wife is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I really like that story. I like being able to tell all the stories to her because it teaches me about them too.
Sure. Yeah. What did you learn that you didn't know before?
Like Fisherman's Wife and Town Musicians of Bremen. I didn't even know those were Grimm's tales, so I learned about those. And then there are some creepy aspects to them.
Tell us one. Tell us one that we don't know about.
Cinderella. It talks about that one we don't actually do that story, but it talks about it in the beginning where stepsisters get their eyes picked out and their feet chopped off. Yes.
The feet are chopped off so that they can fit into the slippers, and then they're punished by birds coming out and plucking out their eyes.
Wasn't that creepy in the Disney show?
Nope, they didn't do that. No, not even in the sequels. Nope. Yeah. When are the performances?
The first 2 weekends in August. We're starting on Friday this week, actually.
Gotcha. So we want to get that out there because by the time this airs, it'll be happening.
Yeah.
Now, this is an original play, isn't it?
Yes. I don't know who wrote it.
Katie?
Yes.
What's Katie's last name? I don't remember. Mom, help us out. What's Katie's last name?
Van Zyl.
Katie Van Zyl is the playwright for this.
Yeah, it's a really good story.
And your mom's been telling me about how much she's impressed with the writing.
Yeah, it is really impressive.
Speaking of impressive, there's 20 kids in the show?
Yes, 20 kids. Some of them are kindergarten.
Wow. What's it like working with kindergartners?
It's good, actually. They're really good at doing it, and I'm really impressed with how they memorize stuff.
What do you get out of performing? Why do you keep coming back to it?
It helps me express myself in the regular day life too.
In what way?
I try to work on being more outgoing, like I am on stage.
I think it instills confidence.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yes.
Yeah. And speaking of which, you are getting ready to go into the 7th grade.
Yeah.
So this is your first year in middle school?
Yes, because I go to Ekron, which starts in 7th grade.
I think the skills that you've learned on stage are going to help you survive middle school.
Yeah. Yes.
And because middle school can be tough, and that added confidence and being able to express yourself, I think those are really good skills to have.
Yeah.
What are your favorite subjects in school?
Probably language arts because the writing, which I really want to get into in the future.
Oh, have you been inspired by Katie's work?
Yeah, I really have. I also want to write like realistic fiction, like that.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Well, again, the Sisters Grimm starts this weekend, the first weekend in August.
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yeah.
And again, the next week in August, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. People can get tickets where?
HardinCountyPlayhouse.com.
That's right. And right now, we're going to go to some footage of you playing Matilda with Allegro Dance Theater. What was that experience like?
That was really stressful because the mask and stuff, but it was super fun because I learned how to express with my eyes, and it was really nice to also be able to I don't know how to explain it. It was super fun.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
That's good. Now, as you're
different.
becoming a teenager and learning how to express yourself with your eyes, don't rely on rolling your eyes. That is a very popular teenage eye expression that we don't need to work on. You don't need to finesse that one. Abby, thank you so much. Now we're going to look at Abby in Matilda at the Hardin County Schools Performing Arts Center this last spring.
You admit it, do you?
Admit what, Miss Trunchbull?
This morning, this foul carbuncle sneaked in like a serpent into my kitchen and stole a slice of my private chocolate cake from my tea tray.
No, I did not. Miss Trunchbull, Matilda's been here all morning.
Standing up for the little spitball, are you? Well, this crime took place before...
And here we are coming straight from the PAC, my office here, and our next guest, Miss Katie Van Zyl, representing Hardin County Playhouse and their upcoming production of The Sisters Grimm. And Katie, this is a very near and dear project for you. You're the playwright for this, correct?
I am. I wrote the words that those adorable kids are saying.
Well, tell me just a little bit, as a fellow playwright, and I don't know if you find this way or not, I have not had any success personally writing a play from scratch. Almost everything I've done has been an adaptation. And I always have a little tinge of, well, I'm not really a playwright. I just put their words on stage. Do you feel that way as well, or do you own it?
I would say that even though it's somebody else's words, it's still an idea that we take on our own and add. Like the adaptation part of it it's fun. Even when you're writing from scratch, there's a guideline. Like if I'm writing my own personal play on my own whim, I have an idea I'm following. And in this case, it's just somebody else's idea.
Well, I'm glad you're owning it. It's taken me several years to own up to being a playwright. And tell us a little bit about this adaptation. Give us a quick synopsis.
Yeah, so this is an adaptation of the Brothers Grimm fairy tales. It's a little different in the sense that it's got a framing device. It takes place in early spring of 2020, and these two sisters have been displaced because of the pandemic. Their mom is a nurse, and everything is scary and weird. School is online. Grown-ups aren't telling them anything, so they cope through storytelling, and they find this copy of Grimm's fairy tales and kind of work through their anxieties using those fairy tales.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and I love the way you've brought it into modern terms and made it relevant. I had an interview earlier this week with Abby Lyles, who's playing one of your sisters. Tell us a little bit about that dynamic between the two sisters, because I think that's really interesting, because it really defines how we understand the Grimm's fairy tales by today's standards.
Yeah, so when I originally started writing this piece, I wanted it to be a bit of a love letter to my little brother. We had a very transient childhood. We're military brats, and we always only had each other to lean on. So I really wanted these leads to have that close bond that, we can get through this together. So when I was writing the sisters, I really just they're at ends with each other. They're very different girls, but they're sisters and they are there for each other and the strength is there.
And as Abby was saying, they think of the stories differently. They come with two different approaches to these stories. Oh, I may have lost you there. You just froze on me. Can you still hear me?
Okay, you're back.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Glad to have you back too. The two sisters come at the stories from different angles because of their own personalities.
Yes. Yes. Our older sister Jo, she's a little punk rock. She's a very girl power. And she comes at the fairy tales like, this is kind of old and outdated and maybe a little sexist. And the little sister is very much in that age where she's like princesses and fairy tales and happy endings. And they kind of, meet in the middle. They influence each other. And, Jo gets a little more romantic and fantasy, and Riley gets a little more like, hey, girls can do hard things.
Well, and I think in some ways, and we all love the Disney versions. That's there's no point in arguing that. But it is really interesting to dig a little bit deeper and to delve into the psychological and the more fantastical parts of these stories. Things like cutting off the heel of a foot in order to fit it into a slipper, and just fascinating things that that you read today and you go, wow, that is out there.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, that's intense. She really wanted that prince.
What are the stories that you've adapted for this piece?
Yeah, so we've got Rapunzel, and Little Red Riding Hood, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Brementown Musicians, and Hansel and Gretel.
Excellent, excellent. And how's the experience been for you? Have you found that as the play has gone on, that you have tweaked things as you've worked with the performers, or did it? Because I always tweak. I always end up going, oh, that looked good on paper, but boy, when I hear the words, there's too many words, or it doesn't really say what I want, and I have to kind of fix things as we go along. What's your process been like?
So there hasn't been very much workshopping or tweaking while the kids were in rehearsal, because we're dealing with little brains, little attention spans.
That's true. Yeah.
But when creating the piece, there was some overlap into auditions. So before my Frozen draft, I had the cast and I had the directors being like, hey, we've got this and this. Kristen actually had me add Snow White in, so we could have some more ensemble moments with the dwarfs. Which it worked out perfectly. And as I was writing, where my narrative was going kind of shifted around. Originally, Hansel and Gretel was at the beginning, but then I was like, wait, this is a story about siblings like getting through the darkness together. I think we should end on this.
Oh, cool, cool. Again, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it is incredibly relevant. You've made it. You've pointed out the relevancy of these stories to what our students are going through these days. And I just really commend you. I'm anxious to see your work and really appreciate it. Speaking of which, how do people get to see this play?
Yes. So the Sisters Grimm is opening this weekend. You can get tickets at thehardincountyplayhouse.com or find us on social media. We've got our number everywhere. You can call the box office manager, who is also the director. And shows are Fridays and Saturdays at 7, Sundays at 3 for the next 2 weekends.
Wonderful. Katie, thank you so much for doing this.
No problem. Thanks for having me. And I love your Kermit collection.
Oh, right over there. Yeah. Thank you very much. Next up on the Monthly Marquee, please welcome Sarah Vaughn with the Historic State Theater. Sarah, how are you doing? We're catching you 3 days, 4 days after 5 weeks of preparing for Cruising in the Heartland. How long does it normally take you to prep for Cruising in the Heartland?
We typically start in October, September, October, and then November hitting hard for the event. And of course, we didn't know if we were having it, didn't know, and then we did. And we said, yeah, we could pull this off in 5 or 6 weeks, no big deal. And so we we pulled it off. I'm not sure what happened. It's all a big blur now. I don't really remember last weekend, but no, it was a great weekend. The weather,
Well,
man,
that's what everyone kept telling me. This was the best weather they've ever had for cruising.
Yeah, I don't know. This is my 11th or 12th year doing cruising, and I don't remember it ever being like this. I wore jeans almost the entire day, which is crazy. Usually I'm gonna die in shorts, but it was just such a good day. It was good to get back into the swing of things, albeit a little rusty. But our volunteers were so gracious and excited to get back into it. Friday night was great out at the lake. We normally run about 70 cars in the car show. This year we hit over 100. Saturday, we're estimating well over 4,000 cars that were counted. People, 15,000, 18,000, not sure. I haven't had time to kind of go back at some of the aerial photography. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll pull out a section of the street and I'll literally count. Yes. And then I kind of multiply that because people move. Nobody stays in one spot. So you move and that's how you kind of get your best calculations. And so typically the streets can hold about 18,000 people, and they were pretty packed most of the day. So I don't know, 100,000 people we're down here. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was a good event. We did plan it in 5 weeks, so I could tell that. I'm hoping that most so.
I'm sure everyone had a wonderful time, and everything that I heard about it was fantastic. Yeah.
Good.
And I think people, again, as you just said, with you, when you look at the numbers and the turnout, people are ready. People,
yeah,
we're not ready, but people are ready, and
we're
so
not.
It can happen.
Yeah. There was definitely some rookie mistakes made that I've been doing a decade. How did I miss that? But you just do when there's thousands of tiny details, and I got to hand it to some of our staff as well. Well, all of our staff, but 2 ladies that work here at the State Theater with me. We took over the State Theater. The city did in 2019. So Beth, who's over the theater, got 1 year of cruising under her belt. She literally started 3 weeks before the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue Festival. Yeah, I can't believe she didn't quit. But she got 1 year of cruising under her belt, and then we shut down last year. Priscilla started September of 19, so she's never done cruising. And she's been to it, but she's never worked it. And so they acted like old pros. They were doing stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, we do that. That's a great idea. It was good. It was very, very good.
Well, you got to have a team. You can't do it alone. It takes a team of people to do all of these things, paid volunteers, everybody.
Yeah.
To pull things together. Well, speaking of pulling things together, what's coming up next for you guys?
Well,
it's not like you do cruising and then take a month off.
I dropped my paper.
Oh.
Yeah, no, there's no time off. You're exactly right. So we are actually going to hit this coming, let's see, August the 13th is the next one. We have a rental coming. John Conley, country legend. He's been to the theater multiple times before. It's always a sellout, and he will be here on August the 13th. So we have a few tickets left. If people want to check those out at thestate270.org. And then right after that, the following weekend, James Gregory, who has tagged himself the funniest man in America, and he's pretty funny. He's also appropriate. So as a comedian, a lot of times we're not sure if we can take underage kids. You can to see James. But he's going to be here. He's hilarious. That's another rental happening on August the 20th. And then the following weekend, we will be actually running into the Heartland Homecoming Parade. It's that time already.
I know.
Crazy. So school
is around the corner. I mean, it's happening. We don't know how it's happening.
I don't know. We blinked,
but it's happening.
We blinked it.
Yeah.
And here we are. Crazy. So August the 28th is the Heartland Homecoming Parade. And then that evening, we're going to be bringing back Rye Davis, who helped us open for Daryl Worley, up and comer, one of the most talented human beings I think I've ever listened to. And if people are like, oh, country again, let me tell you, this is not your average country show. He is a true gem in the music industry, and he is rising like crazy. I probably will not be able to get him anymore. I keep telling him, Rye, don't forget us little people down here when you get all big and stuff. So hopefully we're going to see him on the CMAs here, not before too long, but he's great. So August 28th, those tickets are on sale as well right now. But the parade this year, our theme is superheroes.
Oh my gosh.
And, we chose that because that it's so broad. So yes, you can think of Superman and Batman, but you can also think of the cashier at Kroger who during our shutdown last year didn't get a day off, and he didn't get to go home and be taken care of by family members or what have you. And these folks toughed it out. The people in our healthcare industry. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to pretend to name every superhero. We all saw someone that was a superhero. And so what we're encouraging folks to do is, we've hit our deadline as far as applications go, but if you know someone, if you're watching this and go, you know what, the guy at the gas station, or whatever, we want those businesses to highlight their employees. This is an opportunity for those industries to highlight their employees in ways that we've never seen before. Because we learned very quickly what jobs are essential, and what people, and we're all essential. But when it comes to surviving, and what, we had to go through last year. So superheroes is our theme, and we've got a bunch of different kinds of superheroes. We have sports superheroes. It's going to be there. Rick Stansberry is our Grand Marshal. We're going to have a lot of folks from Fort Knox, as always. The list, it's going to be a great parade. We're just so excited to be able to have our homecoming parade. Yeah. It's a tradition in this community, and this is the first time it's never not been able to happen. So last year was. So we're glad to be back. We're back with a vengeance. So make sure you're coming downtown, 10 a.m., August the 28th. The parade route will stretch from the square and travel north to St. John Road. So anywhere through there, you'll be able to view the parade and get you a good seat, maybe get a little bit of candy. Once we hit September, Bart, then it's more and more is happening and going. So we're super stoked about that. And then the calendar just keeps going. We step into Halloween movies here. We step into all of our great traditions, and then we go to Christmas. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm using that word. But yeah, check it out. thestate270.org. I'm now tired, Bart. Thank you. And I don't even know what you're exhausted. So
that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother story.
Sarah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
I'm really pleased to bring with you for our PAC Spotlight this month, Mr. Sadiq Ibn Muhammad, who's done several shows with us, including The Little Mermaid and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and is currently at Stephen Foster's Story in a brand new role. Sadiq, it's so good to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I know you and the director, Johnny, had to turn things around a little bit pretty fast to make this happen. So I really, really do appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about this role you're playing.
Martin Delaney. He's a brand new role inside of the Stephen Foster Story, but he's someone that's kind of been along those storylines there all along, and you just not knowing his name until an intentional decision was made to bring him to life. Martin's the understudy for Dr. McDowell in the story, but he's also a prior service member, a combat veteran, accomplished author of his day. And like I said, just a person that a lot of people should know, but have never heard of before. So Stephen Foster's decided to try to bring Martin to life, and I'm do my part in helping birth him.
Well, that's fantastic. And is this I don't want to assume too much, but is this in some way an answer to the Black Lives Matters movement and other things of that nature?
Well, I would say so. More an intentional effort to depict and display people of color in the Stephen Foster story in a more prominent light, as opposed to not that anyone's in any kind of bad way depicted in the show that I can see. A lot of efforts have gone into over the years to morph the show into a more palatable show for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
But my understanding is basically Martin's whole purpose in the show is to show Black people in a more prominent light of that day, because they were definitely there, and they were definitely a huge part of a lot of things going on back then, but it's not necessarily, you can't glean that from the show as it's written. So that was what Martin's role is.
So what's up next for you? Foster will
Well,
be coming to an end soon. We want to make sure that people know it's a slightly shorter season this summer, and we want them to get tickets and catch you in the show in the remaining days left of the performance. First of all, before we go into your future, how do we get to see you in the present? Tickets are still available, yes?
tickets are available. The run is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of each week until August 14th at StephenFoster.com. But I would be remiss to not mention the songs of Stephen Foster as well. Fantastic production. I got a chance of singing in the pit for the songs of Stephen Foster one weekend. I swear, man, beautiful, beautiful show. But same place, StephenFoster.com. And yes, there are tickets available still for that.
And these are two different shows. Just tell our audience just a little bit about this new show and how it is different than Stephen Foster.
So what it does is it takes us some of the songs from Stephen Foster, of course, from the story that we perform here on the outside theater stage, but it adds other songs that don't necessarily get a chance to be a part of this story. And then they also put an interpretative, a dance element to it that I haven't seen before. I don't want to give away too much, but what I will say is that the show has an intimacy about it where it's inside and they reading from the journal of Jane McDowell and some of the other folks, and like that intimacy of it is really, really special.
Oh, cool. I'm going to be seeing it, I think, either this weekend or next. I can't remember. So I'm really excited to see it. And again, what's coming up for you after this?
Well, I'm still doing the Kentucky Derby Museum exhibit. That's going to be enduring for the rest of the calendar year. Once a month, they'll have a public showing, but then we also do private showings from time to time for groups that have that type of request. So that's something that's enduring. I'm also going to be doing The Color Purple with Faithworks Studios as Harpo in that production. That's going to open August 20th, and that's going to run right now through September 3rd, Labor Day Saturday before. And then we're looking at extending dates because that run has completely sold out.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Yeah,
Yes,
let me
sir.
know, because I've never gotten to see Color Purple on stage. So I really do want to catch that one of these days.
I cannot tell you how excited I am for that one. That cast is absolutely amazing. A lot of those folks that are doing it with us, they're reprising a role in this show from, I think, 7 years ago. The artistic director at Faithworks Studios got a chance to direct it at JCC, the center stage, 7 years ago. And so a lot of those people are reprising their role, and they're really, really, I think it's biting at the, nipping at the bit or biting at the chops. I can't think of the expression, but they're like salivating for this chance to get back into those. And so that's drawing me into a point where like, I'm ready too. Let's go.
Yeah, there's really something special about getting to perform a role that you love, but then to come back to that role with the life experience you've had in between and apply. Yeah, it's really something. And I think, as I'm listening to you talk, I don't know how many of our audience members are aware of the synergy, the through line of people working with one company in Louisville and another company in Louisville, and then dipping down to Bardstown or Elizabethtown. We're all one huge family of sorts, and always jumping in to help each other. And again, thank you guys for helping me today, and hoping to see you at Foster very soon. Thank you, Sadiq.
Thank you for having me, Bart.
Miss Phelps, where's the revenge section?
What? Is there a child at school behaving like a bully?
Not a child exactly. Didn't you hear the next part of the story?
What are we waiting for?
As they prepared themselves for the most dangerous feat that had ever been performed, the acrobat gave her husband a kiss.
Smile. We have done this 1,000 times.